Hey everyone, it's me, John Jacob Sims Player Smith, and welcome to a new video. So I'm still focused on my Doctor Who inspired gameplay series. I'm just waiting for The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy to come out before I really start playing it again. And I've been doing a lot of research on kind of like the Gallifrey lore, looking at different books and websites and audiobooks and comics. Like, I've been trying to form some order out of the chaos. Because in Doctor Who, there's a lot of conflicting accounts about everything and anything. Like, that's why some people argue there is just no such thing as canon in Doctor Who, because everything is always subject to change or edits over time, or just alterations, retcons, and frankly, I'm okay with that. But for this series, I obviously want to have like a direction and like a somewhat a semblance of a timeline, and it's obviously not going to be exactly like any one of the timelines or origins of Gallifrey essentially. But I'm trying to like combine them into a cohesive, albeit not entirely accurate timeline for the sake of this series. Which is why I'm introducing you to Pythia, and she is the 508th Pythia. So the Pythia are the first rulers of Gallifrey. They are powerful telepaths, and before Gallifrey had Time Lords, they were just Gallifreyans, and they were more of a matriarchal society, matriarchal society, ruled by women. In fact, in one book have been reading lately, Cat's Cradle Times Crucible, actually says that in those early days on the Doctor's planet Gallifrey, that the women were usually taller and stronger than the men. Well, actually, I don't think it said anything about stronger. I forget. Maybe it did. They were definitely taller. Like, they were more like how people probably view Amazonians or Amazon women, essentially, except a bit more telepathic, I guess, maybe. So, I decided for Pythia here, who is, like I said, the ruler of Gallifrey. She's actually the last of the Pythias. So while she may be the 508th Pythia, she's the last. And when The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy comes out, I plan on her being the first ruler of Gallifrey. And Rassilon's going to have to try and usurp or take over Gallifrey, essentially, in a coup, or get her to abdicate. Something, we'll see. But one thing I want to let you guys know is that I did make her a spellcaster. And this is simply because it's like she can't hear me. She's old. But what it's basically supposed to be is that the Pythia were supposed to be very telepathic and sort of like early Gallifrey on the Doctor Who planet, essentially, another way to call it. It was supposed to be a very mystical, more magical, less scientific time in the universe because it was so early on. And as a result, there were a lot more weirder stuff back in the early days of the universe. In fact, we're sort of seeing a resurgence of that idea of more supernatural or magical stuff in newer Doctor Who seasons now. But according to a lot of different books and audiobooks and even the show itself, the early universe was really weird and used to be a bit more in the supernatural lane. So I decided to make her a spellcaster, and this is because she will definitely have some powers, like, for instance, Minionize, which is a spell in The Sims 4 that allows spellcasters to basically control someone and make them like minions, essentially. And this is a sensitive subject, I know, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. In fact, you're going to see later on in this series that Rassilon is even going to think this is not a good thing. But yeah, the early Gallifreyans supposedly had slavery, and they enslaved aliens. So I think that's what the Minionize spell is going to do here. But, like, I'm not going to be really graphic or abusive with that, and I'm not going to glamorize it. It's going to be quite clear she's controlling people if that happens, or she is in the wrong, you know? Like, Pythia, I wouldn't say is outright vicious, but I do think you can't really get around her not being evil, because she is. She's okay with slavery, so yeah, by default, kind of evil. But I gave her more so the self-absorbed trait, because I don't want her to, like, I don't know, I guess I don't want her to get autonomously trying to be evil to people nonstop for no good reason. And especially since she'll have a personal bodyguard and a butler and a maid and stuff. I just felt like it wasn't fair. So, you know, we're not going to go that route. I'm just going to make her self-absorbed, wise, and mystical. But make no mistake, Pythia, bad ruler, bad person. Do not believe Pythia is a good person. Very few Gallifreyans are actually good people. The Doctor would tell you that. Very few Time Lords or Gallifreyans actually remain good people. Maybe they start out good, but then, you know, there's always some corrupting influence down the road, I guess. But I will admit, I had a lot of fun making Pythia's look. Like, I had a lot of fun designing the looks of a lot of Sims, because I've been prepping for weeks now. I've been making buildings, I've been making different Time Lords and different aliens and different people. Like, I've been working a lot in build mode and create a sim. So yeah, this is her main outfit. And I gave her like a little monocle because she's supposed to have an eye patch at some point in the book I'm reading. And you don't really have eye patches in The Sims 4, so I gave her a monocle instead to sort of be similar. But yeah, she's supposed to be able to see the future. And the monocle was her hope of letting her be able to see the future after she seemingly loses that power. Because the Pythia apparently, like, it was a bad sign when she couldn't see the future anymore. It would mean, oh no, the Pythia's rule, the age of the Pythia is about to go down. But yeah, I love her look though. Very gorgeous. Like, very mystical. And not like I even give her some really, like, alien looking eyes, which I like. They're very void, like, she has no soul. Look inside those eyes. She does not care about you or anyone else. So, yeah. Self-absorbed, but pretty much at the same time evil. But let me show you little Handstrong here. So Handstrong is my attempt at making one of my first attempts at making non-human-like aliens in The Sims 4. So I could have very easily actually made him an alien, but I wanted him to be a regular Sim because I don't want him to have a disguise. And I feel like it would just be give him like different powers and stuff that wouldn't really make sense in the story. But basically, Handstrong is a Greladian, and they don't really go into their appearance in the book, except for saying that they have bronze blue skin. So, as you can see, a lot of bronze and blue. This is all a tattoo all over his body. And I think he looks really cool. Like, I love how he looks. I think they're a really cool looking species. And obviously, I plan on doing a lot more in the future, especially maybe even with mods to try and make really cool aliens in The Sims 4. But this is Handstrong. He is the Pythia's personal bodyguard. And I don't think he really likes her, because why would he? But he's loyal. And I think she's also going to minionize him a lot, so I was using the spell minionize, so not a lot of choice in the matter, unfortunately. But he will be free. He will be free. But he has the traits loyal, active, and neat, and quick learner. And unfortunately, yes, he is enslaved. But Pythia, the rule is going to go down, and he's going to be freed. But for now, for the story's sake, and as Doctor Who lore says, this would be one of those situations, unfortunately, because, before the Time Lords came about, Gallifreyans did not see a problem with slavery. In fact, they didn't see a problem with kidnapping random aliens and having them fight to the death for entertainment. So they were kind of like gladiators, but even worse, honestly. Because imagine, right? Imagine you're fighting as a gladiator, already trying to win your freedom, fight to the death. You've been kidnapped, taken to a strange country, in this case, in Rome. But on Gallifrey would be even worse. You could be an alien randomly going about your day. Even a human going about your day. Then all of a sudden you're transported to an entirely different planet, different time period, and you're stuck there and you're forced to fight something to the death for the entertainment of these powerful, horrible aliens called Gallifreyans. And yeah, it's horrible. So the Gallifreyans, ancient Gallifreyans especially, are not good people. They were not good. They do not care about the universe. Which is why Pythia is definitely going to go down. She is the last. There were 508 before her, but she's the last. And good riddance. Now, as an elder sim, she can't really have kids, but she does have a suspicion that the next heir will be male. Now, she's sort of wrong, and I will show you why in the future. But that's the last concrete vision she has about the future. The next heir is male. And she doesn't have a kid. So she adopts someone, or not so much adopts, but appoints an heir in someone she finds has potential to be a good successor. And here she chooses Vale Vorionsty Chevril. And yes, that is the name of ancient Gallifreyan from an actual book I'm reading called Time's Crucible. Or no, Cat's Cradle, Time's Crucible. And I gave him the mean and genius trait. And he's a teenager. Like, he's not an adult. But yeah, I love his look. I think he looks really cool. Like, he is definitely not a good person either. Again, not evil. But I think he actually, to a certain degree, is even worse than Pythia. And mainly because Pythia has power. He wants power. So he doesn't have it yet, but when he does, or if he did, he would be a million times worse because he's full of himself. He thinks he's the stuff. And unfortunately, he doesn't get along well with others. And he will actually he'll learn the spell to set things on fire. To give you an idea of how bad he is. He doesn't even like his family. Like, he has a whole family tree I made in The Sims 4 here. He has 2 sisters. He has a niece and a nephew. He has parents. He doesn't even live with any of them. He is completely under the Pythia's wing for his own ambition. Because Vale wants to be in the position in the universe he believes he deserves. Think, incel, but worse. And this brings me to Loie. Now, Loie has a last name here in my version. She's also a character featured in Time's Crucible, or Cat's Cradle Time's Crucible. And if you haven't read that book, you won't, or you haven't done any research on ancient Gallifrey, you won't know her significance, and that's okay. It'll be a surprise in here, I guess. Little teaser. Yeah, surprise. But she's loyal and idealist. And I gave her the last name Gallifreyan. She doesn't have a name in the book. And I'm not too worried about how she looks. I think this is a rather basic look. Really not much detail, honestly. But frankly, like, she looks fine. But, like, there's not a lot of description of her in the book, which tells you right away she is a minor character. But you're going to see something. Anyway, they also have cats because usually cats have been like usually every president or leader in Gallifreyan or Time Lord society is supposed to have their own pet cat. So I gave two. Basically, these are the only cats in my save file right now. So they're both Gallifreyan cats, a boy and a girl. They're gonna populate all the other cats. They're like the Adam and Eve of cats, essentially. At least for Gallifrey. But yeah. So actually, maybe not the Adam and Eve, but they're the first two we have here. Because I actually come to think, but yeah, I don't want, you know, their children to mate with each other. So we're not doing that. No, I don't think it's not even possible in The Sims 4, thankfully. But yeah, we're not doing that. I can't wait for the family trees to be updated because that's going to look really cool. And I'm curious to see the level of detail it shows. And just the dynasties coming up in The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy. Like, there's so many cool things coming from there. And also, a little detail here. I did make some other Grilladians he knows. And they come from the Star Grillades. Which is a lot I decided in Del Sol Valley. So you have to keep in mind, The Sims 4 doesn't have alien planets except for the one, Sixum. But each world is pretty much a different part of the Doctor Who universe, in my opinion, for this save file. So Chestnut Ridge is Gallifrey. So while this background of a Western type town may look a little jarring, look, there's Tectayun's cabin. It may look a little jarring, especially when you see Pythia's temple here. But by goodness, I love what I designed here. Like, Pythia's temple is so cool to me. Like, I rarely ever design anything so Greek Roman architecture-y, and I love it. Like, I love this. Like, this is just right here. Show you like they have like a sauna, obviously the beds, bathroom and shower, the servants' quarters, like maid and butler and, bodyguard. And then crystal ball, seance, tarot cards, feature cube. Definitely trying to see the future. Pythia really needs to know the future again, obviously. I love how this place just looks really fancy. Like, it's sparsely decorated, but it looks really fancy. And I'm okay with that, because I think it's beautiful what I did with this build. Like, I'm really proud of this. And it's uploaded to the gallery even. So, for instance, if you wanted to see this build, it's under, not my library, but under Devondrian 1. That's where you can find me on the gallery. And yeah, here it is right here. I wish it showed you the other end, because the other end is kind of better. I should have had steps on both, but oh well. But yeah, it actually doesn't use as many packs as I usually use in builds. It only has 2 pages. Ooh. But yeah, let me show you the downstairs now. This one's cool too. So like, look at this. The actual temple part. This is where the commoners on Gallifrey will come to like pray, and I had a lot of woman statues here because, like I said, ancient Gallifrey used to be a very matriarchal society. And it just looks so beautiful. Like, I love how this looks. And down here will probably not be used too often, but I'm going to try to employ it in the gameplay. One way the Pythia in the books, at least, in the book I read, times Crucible, Cat's Cradle times Crucible. I always want to get that wrong. Anyway, yeah, in the book I read there, the Pythia will usually sit in a wicker basket or cage. Wicker cage, and sink themselves down into like this crevice of memory, and that will be or something when they want to look into the future and put their minds out in time and space to learn valuable information or something or other. Where like a lot of smoke and fumes will come in their minds and influence them and get them in the right headspace, make them high and stuff. But like high to the point you can see the future. Now, you can't really have a wicker cage lowering you down in The Sims 4, but we got a ladder, a bench, and some way oversized bonfires here. I think that's close enough. I actually don't even know if these bonfires work. I'd be kind of curious to see if they do. We'll find out when I actually start playing now. But yeah, no, I love this lot. Like, obviously the Pythia are not good, but by goodness, they got a beautiful temple. Like, I worked hard. And one of the biggest details... Ooh. Oh, ain't that interesting? Why is there no ceiling? What? When did that happen? Like, what? Why was the ceiling gone? Oh, I hope the gallery has the ceiling. Okay, that is really weird. Don't know why there wasn't a ceiling. Huh. It's a little low. Can't tell. It's a little random. Like, actually, yeah. Like, I don't know quite why there wasn't a ceiling. I don't know. That's a little odd to me. I'm glad it's here now, though. But, yeah, so we're going to continue playing The Sims 4, or at least my Sims 4 Doctor Who inspired gameplay. As soon as The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy comes out, I definitely plan on, like, ooh, that took a while to save, didn't it? That was a little scary. But yeah, I definitely plan on doing a few videos where I'm kind of giving my review or experimenting with The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy before I delve into the Doctor Who inspired gameplay, just to make sure I know how the nobility system and the scandal system and the dynasty systems work. I want to like understand those on a basic level, at least, before I come into The Sims 4 and play my Doctor Who inspired gameplay. So there'll be a few videos of that when it comes out. And I'm also excited for this new login event reward quest type thing they're doing in The Sims 4 now, starting February 3rd. We're supposed to get a new aspiration with that, where it's called like Master of Grudges. And I'm really curious to see the relevance with that because, ooh, look at that little random just anachronistic mailbox. But yeah, I'm curious about the Master of Grudges aspiration because that could be useful in my gameplay depending what it involves. My suspicion, considering the Montes and the Cap families are both in The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy, my suspicion is like the Master of Grudges aspiration will be like holding a grudge against someone and trying to get even with them down the road or win over them, essentially. And if that's the case, that would be fun to play with. I'm curious to see what that's like. And like it could be actually a useful aspiration for one of my Sims. So yeah, we'll play with that a little too, okay? Alright, well, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you can, please do me a favor and subscribe or like or leave a comment. I definitely cannot wait to do Doctor Who inspired gameplay, and don't you worry, there will be videos again with the Timeless Child who will eventually become the Doctor. We will have those, but we got to do a lot of setup first, okay? And we got to have The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy come out. So, anyway, have a nice day, y'all. Bye-bye.